Peace and blessings, family and friends. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Moorish Zionst Trading Post. I'm your host, Brother Shalak, and we have a powerful guest with you this morning. On the Moorish Zionst Trading Post, you know that we trade in knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And today we have a brother that's going to deliver that for you directly. Our brother, Noah Bey Isra-El, is going to touch on the subject, who is the 5%ers? How you feeling this morning, Brother Noah?
I'm feeling great, magnificent. I'm feeling great every day, each and every day, each and every way.
Wonderful, wonderful. Introduce yourself to the audience who may not be familiar with you and your work.
Well, as you say, I'm Noah Bey Isra-El. In Hebrew, Israel would actually be Israeli, like I guess like Muhammad Ali. We'll get into that. My righteous name on the street, as you can see if you do Facebook, is Noah Justice Born Shabazz Kabbalah, or just Justice Born Shabazz for short. And I'm from the Bronx, born in Manhattan, raised in the Bronx, graduated from the University of Buffalo. But my real alma mater is the 5% Street Academy, as is in the topic. Who is the 5%, as the lessons say? But in this topic, who is the 5%ers specifically? And we'll go into that in a minute. But, so I've, like I said, born in Manhattan, Mount Sinai, raised in the Bronx, in the P-Lawn, as we say in the street language. I've traveled a few times. I've traveled to Egypt. I've been to Morocco, Crete, Mexico, when I was in school, when I was in the Marine Corps. I'm also a Marine Corps veteran, as was my father, my grandfather. I am in a fraternity, Phi Beta Sigma, was a representative of the Panhellenic Council, got married in the Nation of Islam, and was born a Moorish American. But I became a 5%er in 1976, really, really opened my eyes. I already had knowledge of self from my mother, and who, of course, would have learned from her father, who was an Alpha and also a Marine veteran. And my father, whom she married, I guess some kind of woman married somebody similar to her father, if her father's teaching her. Because my mother was definitely different. She was a school teacher in the South Bronx. She had a master's in biology, but eventually she wanted to be a woman doctor, medical doctor, black woman medical doctor. But I guess that wasn't happening, I guess, in the 1960s. So she eventually became a school teacher in the South Bronx. Excuse me. So she reflected, the knowledge, I guess, from her father or my father to me as a youth about us being Moorish American, as you mentioned, the name of your show, that we're descent of the Moorish Zionst Temple, of what they say Moorish Jews. I'm sure many are familiar with the 1899 picture or the 1899 organization and the 25-year anniversary picture of the Moorish Zionst Temple of Moorish Jews, founded in 1899, and most are familiar with, we believe, a photo op, I guess you could say, of the 25-year anniversary taken in 1924. So and I just kind of leave it at that. I've also been a Grand Master, because the topic is going to definitely go into Shriners and Masons and Eastern Stars, and as well as fraternities and sororities. I pledged in 1980. So I was born a Moorish American. Just a little timeline. I was born as a Moorish American, taught by mother and father, mostly really my mother, who is your first teacher. Became a 5%er in 1976. Still am, always will be. Pledged fraternity in 1980. Went to Egypt in 1984. Became a Shriner in Egypt with the blessings of Dr. Ben. We'll show a picture of Dr. Ben with his Shriner regalia on, or you can find a picture of him. Went again in 85, then became a Mason when I got back, because he said the Shriner stuff of Egypt will not be heard in America if I don't become a Negro, or at that time, African-American Freemason. Of course, the nation was rolling from Madison Square Garden in 1985. Actually, upon my return from Egypt, I went to Madison Square Garden to hear the minister. And of course, that was very, very powerful. Then, of course, you got hip hop, which comes out of the Bronx, out of the South Bronx. At the same time, Rakim in '86 and so on and so forth. who had knowledge of self, going right into joining the nation eventually, which is where I married my wife, and eventually, I don't know what's the word I'll say. I would say you never really leave the nation. Once I got a nation, got an ex, married my wife. I really already had a righteous name and stuff, but I felt a very strong inclination, being I had to work in New York City Housing Authority, to go back to the 5%ers or the gods. So with further delay, okay, that's enough about myself, because I'm just a brother. I don't like to go into I'm God, or as the 5%ers would say, or I'm a Grand Master, as the Masons would say, a rabbi. Because did I say I went to Israel? When I went to Israel, Ethiopian blessed me as a rabbi, a chief rabban, in the Shriners, a patron in the Eastern Stars, so so on and so forth. But look, I am just your brother. Matter of fact, Elijah, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, said the highest title you can have is brother. So as I said, from further delay, we want to go right into who is the 5%. Now, we said the topic is who are the 5%ers. Most of us are familiar with the 5%ers, the street knights, the street masters, what I'm saying? The gods and earths, also known today as the nation of gods and earths. Now, the 5%, now all nation of gods and earth brothers and sisters are 5%ers, but not necessarily all 5%ers are members of the nation of gods and earths. And that is where our topic is today. Shriners are 5%ers. In the lesson, now the lesson itself is a group of teachings. Now, being this a design post, in Hebrew teaching, you have what is called the Tem Lamud, or what we know as the Talmud, which is a curriculum, which is the same curriculum that the 5%ers followed, or at least it appears so, because that's what got my attention. Was the first thing they teach you is mathematics, supreme mathematics, then the supreme alphabet. Then you get actual facts, solar facts, and 12 joules. You really get 12 joules before the actual facts, solar facts. So we get this group of lessons called 120, which is 100 question and answers and 20 actual facts and solar facts. The nation calls it supreme. In Hebrew or in Judaic teachings, you get the first is 7 tracks, or you can say actually 9 tracks, 8 or 9 tracks. We all remember the 8-track, the 8-track video. The first recording that we used was called an 8-track back in the 70s. For those that remember, I don't want to give away my age there, But anyway, so there's a question that's asked, what Hebrew call commentary, or Gemara in the Talmud is commentary based on your teachings. In their case, Bible and Quran, so on and so forth. And with the Nation of Islam or the 5%ers, it's called Supreme Wisdom. Now, in a lesson in the 1 to 40 called Student Examination, so these are question and answers. That's like a test, student enrollment. You have a English C lesson. You have a what's called a student assignment. Then you have the student examination. So that's like the 1 to 10, the 1 to 36, the 1 to 14, and the 1 to 40. The 1 to 40 is a student examination. 16th degree is who is the 5%. Now, in the answer it says, poor righteous teachers who don't believe in the teachings of the 10%, who are all wise and know who the true and living God is, and teach that the true and almighty true and living God is the Son of Man, Supreme Being, Black men of Asia, who teach freedom, justice, and equality to all the human families of the planet Earth. Also is the most important part of that. Also is Muslim and Muslim sons. Now, most 5% of lessons versus the Nation of Islam are little quirks, like the nation lessons in the first degree, and who is, not who was, like we say quién es in Spanish, not quién fue, mean who was, but who is the 5%, like who is the original man. Is present, past, and future. Was is past tense. Who is the original man, right? So in the answer, the nation doesn't say father civilization, because we say who is the original man, the Asiatic Black man, maker, owner, cream of the planet Earth, father civilization, God of the universe. Now, in the nation, they don't say father civilization. They keep it kind of neutral, because even though you say original man, that does not exclude females, because man, like a woman, sometimes can mean a society. Like when they say man landed on the moon, they don't necessarily just mean man, but they mean like a society, people for one common cause. So the nation leaves out father. So even the word God sometimes is like a family, not necessarily just a male. Now, God does mean, the word God, they say, comes from German, from the word Gotter, Gott, but German comes from Sanskrit. All these are Asiatic original languages. I know we call this Take 10, and I don't know if my Take 10 is up. I think it is for this segment, but I definitely want to deal with who is the 5%ers as well as who's the original man. So the original man, again, is the Asiatic black man, maker, owner, criminal planet Earth, father civilization, God of the universe. Who is the 5%? As noticed, it says who is, not who was. So in the answer, the difference is also is Muslim and Muslim sons. Now, most gods in earth would say also Muslim and Muslim sons. So you think when you say it that way, that's who teach freedom, justice, and equality to all the human families of the planet Earth. Also Muslim and Muslim sons. Now it sounds like that's all one big sentence all together, no period. In the Nation of Islam lessons, it says who teach freedom, justice, and equality. Now normally I don't even say freedom, justice, and equality because Elijah, also known as the messenger, changed it in his last book, 1974, to freedom, equality, and justice. That's another time for another discussion. Why it was changed? Because it represents sun, moon, and stars is freedom, equality, and justice. So we say freedom, equality, and justice to all the human families of the planet Earth, period. Now remember in the answer, in the question, it says who is. So in this case, we're saying also is Muslim and Muslim sons. Now, most people say, what's the Muslim and Muslim? Is that the same thing? The answer is no. So we can, in another class, we'll go a little bit further than that. Muslim and Muslim sons, we'll go into the similarity and the differences, and we'll go into Shriners and Eastern Stars fraternities and sororities.
All right, that sounds good. Thank you for this part one at Moorish Zionst Trading Post, where we trade knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. I think everybody is getting their cup full, but they're ready for part two. So like this post, share it with your friends, family, and loved ones, and we will be back very shortly with a part two.
So am I going